Well, good morning everyone and welcome to the Northern Ireland Policing Board, the launch of the policing plan for 2011 to 2014. As acting chairman of the Northern Ireland Policing Board, I would like to welcome you all to Waterside Tower for the launch of this policing plan. Especially pleased to welcome the Minister of Justice, David Ford, and the Chief Constable, Matt Baggott. And I believe this is the Minister's first policing plan launch as Justice Minister. A point which I feel is worth noting, and it is good to have a local minister in charge of local policing affairs, in charge of justice, and I want to congratulate him on that. Also, I want to congratulate him on the passage of the first Justice Bill through the Northern Ireland Assembly in what was a very tight timescale. The bill contains many clauses relating to policing and making communities safer, and really that's what we are about. The format this morning of the launch is straightforward. I will say a few words on behalf of the board, which will then be followed by the Minister of Justice and finally the Chief Constable. Following this, we will then be more than happy to answer any questions you may have in relation to the policing plan. You will be aware that the board is responsible for defining the priorities and objectives in the policing plan. We then subsequently hold the Chief Constable to account through measuring performance against the targets contained in the plan. The board has set targets for the PSNI which we believe are challenging yet achievable and which encourage the PSNI to improve overall performance year on year. As with previous plans, the focus is around improvements in key areas of policing which have been raised as priorities by the community. You will see at part 2 of the plan, starting on page 7, that there are 19 targets which align themselves to the Chief Constable's overarching purpose of working with communities and partners to make Northern Ireland safe, confident and peaceful. This year there continues to be a focus on personal policing, and targets reflect issues such as burglary and antisocial behaviour. There are also targets relating to the implementation of the Policing with the Community strategy, reducing the number of allegations of incivility made against the police and increasing the amount of time spent by officers on patrol. The board have included a target to reduce incivility for the first time as a key board priority and a key point of policing with the community. There is no doubt that the year ahead will continue to bring many new challenges for policing in Northern Ireland, and we recognise the potential for new pressures on all public services given the ongoing economic climate. The board also continues to be mindful of the challenging environment in which the PSNI operates and the continued security situation. The activities of these individuals who want to bring destruction to our community have simply deepened the resolve of both the board and the PSNI to continually improve performance and provide the style of policing which the overwhelming majority of the people of Northern Ireland want and deserves. The board commends the Chief Constable and his officers for their continued professionalism to the community they serve. And I will now hand over to the Minister of Justice, to David Ford, to say a few words. Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairman. It's a great pleasure, Brian, to be here. As you correctly said, to the first time I've attended the launch of a policing plan, and it is an honour to be here as a locally accountable Minister of Justice taking part in the launch. And I think in that context it's appropriate that I should underline the importance of the tripartite relationship which is literally represented at the top table here this morning, because the department, the board and the police each have distinct roles and we each have a contribution to make in slightly different ways. The police service are committed to making Northern Ireland safer for everyone through professional, progressive policing, and they continue to aspire to deliver that vision, a service that everyone can be proud of because it delivers policing at its best. The Policing Board has an important role to play in scrutinising the work of the police, in holding the Chief Constable to account. It also makes a valuable contribution to securing public support for the police and engaging the public in matters of policing. And as Minister of Justice, I am now accountable to the Assembly for the functions of the Department of Justice, as well as ensuring that the police service has the resources it needs to be fully effective in maintaining peace and stability in our community, alongside its responsibilities for personal policing, which we've already heard from the Chair as the priority. I'm committed to further enhancing the level of confidence in policing and in the wider criminal justice system. I also believe that the positive impact of local accountability arrangements really has been enhanced now that we've seen devolution of justice completed, and we're not yet a year into that process. So I can take great assurance that the system works, and the production of this policing plan, I believe, confirms it. The plan sets out a clear strategy for the delivery of policing services in Northern Ireland in the coming 3 years, as well as providing a framework against which the police performance can be effectively assessed by all of us. It clearly reflects the shared priorities of the Chief Constable and of the Board. And the plan, I believe, rightly reflects the high expectations that this community now has in the standards of service delivery in policing. I commend the commitment to working with communities and partners, because I frequently talk about partnership when I engage in public speeches, and really we do have to acknowledge that the task of policing is simply not one solely for the police. Positive engagement between the police and the local community is a real cornerstone of building community confidence. I also appreciate that some of the performance indicators are dependent upon the combined efforts of the police and a number of other agencies, and I'm certainly pleased that the Board and the Chief Constable have set such demanding targets where not everything is within wholly the gift of the police. This plan today represents one of the most important elements of policing accountability. It's been developed in consultation with the community, and it demonstrates to the public that the issues of real public concern have been reflected in the policing plan. So let me pay tribute to the work of the Policing Board in ensuring that accountability. The Board has played and continues to play a vital role in holding the Chief Constable to account and in consolidating support from all parts of the community for the police and for the policing process. It's clear from this plan that the Policing Board and the police are fully committed to the objective of making Northern Ireland a safer place to live, to work, to socialise and to visit. And there are, of course, many challenges in this, and I don't doubt that the threat from those who would attack the police and other citizens continues to put considerable strain on the work that the police and other agencies do. The recklessness of those determined to cause harm and misery has been clearly demonstrated by a number of recent attacks on police officers, and I am certainly thankful that no one was killed or seriously injured as a result of those attacks. Unfortunately, these people seem determined to take Northern Ireland back to the past, but I'm certain that they will not be allowed to succeed, because on the one hand, we have a police service which has the personnel, the resources, the ability and the commitment to meet that challenge, and on the other hand, we now have the devolved democratic structures in Northern Ireland, and the success of politics and civic society have really isolated the tiny minority who destroy what's been achieved over the last 12 or 13 years. It's also the reality of our financial situation that in the next 4 years the Department of Justice will have less money to deliver its objectives. Efficiencies have to be found right across the department, but we will continue to invest in frontline services, especially in policing. The PSNI has the resources it needs to be fully effective in tackling the threat to peace, alongside the commitments to that personal policing, which is so important in building public confidence. I also want to talk a little bit about the Board, because we're currently in the process of running the competition for the new independent members, which will lead to a reconstituted Board. I believe these are demanding positions within the Policing Board, and those appointed will have a fundamental role to play during their tenure as we seek to develop the devolved structures. Under the current Board, support for the police from all sections of the community has increased, and it's important, not just important, it's vital that we ensure that that continues. In terms of the membership of the Board, we've received a large number of applications, which I believe does send out a strong signal of the level of interest in policing and the appetite to make a positive contribution. And in looking at the potential for the new Board, I want to take this opportunity to record my thanks and appreciation to those retiring members who've been on the Board since its inception. No one should underestimate the significant contribution made by the first Chairman, Sir Desmond Ray, by Barry Gilligan, his successor, and also by Rosaleen Moore and Sunil Sharma. They helped establish the new era of policing for all of us. I hope as their tenure comes to an end, that they will leave with a true sense of fulfilment for the difference they've made and for a job well done for all this community. This is a time of both challenge and of opportunity for the police service and for the Board. I've every confidence in their ability to rise to the challenges that this society faces. The dedication, determination and professional attitude displayed by the PSNI should never be taken for granted. So, ladies and gentlemen, I commend the plan. I wish the Acting Chairman of the Board, the Chief Constable and all his officers every success as they implement it in the challenging months ahead. Thank you, Brian.
Chief Constable.
Chairman, Minister, thank you very much indeed. Can I firstly say thank you to the Policing Board and to the Minister for the very real challenge that they put to the PSNI in the plan, and for the constant dialogue that we have, which is taking us ever forward step by step. We have seen already some real benefits from devolution. It doesn't seem a year ago, does it? But it's about a year now. We have a 4-year plan. Yeah, we have a not for me. For the first time, though, we have an opportunity to plan for the longer term with a sustained budget. It's going to be challenging, but we have a real injection of resources to help us do that. We have great opportunities to put the legislation in place to keep people safer, and at the same time, we are having not just a challenge from one person or another. We're having challenge from across communities, and sometimes that's a painful process to go through, and sometimes it's a very encouraging process. But it is the right process we're going through. Chairman, I know there are plans and there are plans. There are good plans, but this is a great plan. Why is it a great plan? Because it's designed by all people in our communities for all people. And what it contains isn't just targets and statistics and numbers. It contains the things that people have asked us to do. It contains the things that we need to do. And it contains the things that will take the PSNI after 10 years to becoming what I genuinely believe will happen, which is the 2 words, our police. So this plan for me isn't just about keeping people safe. It isn't just about doing the things that matter. It's about, after 10 years, really taking the PSNI into the next stage of its life, embedded in all communities, for all communities. I'm very proud to be the Chief Constable of the PSNI. Beneath the plan, let's not forget there are people out there doing the most courageous things on behalf of us all, working ever so hard in very difficult circumstances sometimes, and we know you very kindly have outlined the degree of threat that they face. But as we speak, in the early hours of this morning, there'll be police officers and police staff delivering changes in the quality of life for so many people, as well as protecting them from harm. And beneath the plan, we mustn't lose sight of the fact there are very real people doing some very real things with great support from communities that increases every day. Chairman, the last few years have seen significantly lower crime. They are seeing more crime solved. They are seeing people kept safe from the most serious of offences. And we are seeing, across all the indicators, a rising confidence in the PSNI and in those who are working within the criminal justice system. And much credit to the Policing Board and to the Minister of Justice to achieving that. We're going to tackle, in the plan, the things that really matter in terms of serious harm. The violence, the organised crime that can come in and infect communities very quickly with drugs and with misery and with people trafficking. We're going to deal with the things that absolutely we have to get a grip of, and I include terrorism in that. But at the same time, we're going to tackle the local concerns that really matter, people's day-to-day life, what happens outside their door, the antisocial behaviour and the burglaries. And day by doing that, we know we are winning trust, and we will continue to win trust, so we can isolate those who still want to take us back to the past. So that's what we're about. But more importantly also, we're going to tackle, in a very real way, the quality of the service we provide. Now, we know we call that moments of truth. We know that every incident, every encounter is an opportunity to keep people safer. So we're not interested anymore just filling in the form. We're giving back professional common sense. We're giving officers a lot more discretion back. We're making sure that the encounter is always going to be positive, and we're going to hold ourselves more and more accountable for doing that by asking people, how was it? How was our service? Did we do well? In April, we'll be publishing our commitments to every household in Northern Ireland. That's not just a piece of propaganda or words on a piece of paper. That is genuinely the heart and the culture of the PSNI. And that will be something that everybody can hold us accountable for. It's not perfect, but it is unique. And I think that's going to be another step change. And also we're going to be holding ourselves more accountable by asking people, did we do a good job? So all that's to happen. But I come back to that point. I don't think this is just a plan. I don't think it's just a good plan. I think it's a great plan because it's designed by all people, for all people, it will shape the PSNI in the way that we need to be shaped, and it's tackling the things that absolutely matter. So I'm looking forward to next year working very closely with the board, being held accountable by the policing board, and also with the Minister of Justice. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much.